Omawale, also the title track of the album, I thought it was interesting because you mentioned being the journey of a hip hop optimist,
Mm,
and a lot of the album is very dark, serious, heavy subject matter.
yeah,
So I was intrigued kind of by the juxtaposition of that because the album, while it does have optimistic moments, it's
yeah,
much heavier, darker, dealing with a lot of the problems that we have in
right,
society. So, what made you say that, especially on the first song, the title song?
right. Um, I'm a movie buff, so I took the reference from the film Book of Eli with Denzel, and shout out to Denzel and whoever directed that film. That movie is awesome. But the thing about it is,
One of the Hughes brothers did that.
yeah, the Hughes brothers, that's right. The thing is, in that film, more than just the way the movie was made, the aspect is what he was going through was years, right? As we watch it in a 90-minute setting, he was going through years of society continuing to have a downfall because of the ripple effects of what happened before him. But yet, even while he was doing that, he still had some form of optimism. He was so calm and nonchalant with it. While everybody else, he knew what he was dealing with, good, bad, non-directed people out there, whatnot. So I took that and used it in the form of music because navigating in society as black men is really hard to get away from that because no matter how successful one person can or cannot be, it's hard not to reflect reality of how we're looked at, whether it be someone successful, someone not as successful as a black man. So I felt like Omawale represents the journey from being young, growing up, and moving forward, as well as the future. He in the movie references hitting west with the Bible, the last Bible, whereas in Omawale, having that positive outlook of how the future is going to be with music in general, and what was inspiring me from the past, and as a black man growing, how I could just navigate and take that and navigate through a journey of an album like he did in the film. So in the movie, he's more on a biblical sense, whereas I'm more on a music sense because music has changed obviously through times, but at the same time, society keeps changing around it, and there's a lot of people who don't care about what's going on in society and they continue to do what they're doing. This album, I couldn't do that. It was just too much going on. 2020 hit us hard, and I personally think 2020 is just a reminder of what has happened before that just wasn't seen as much. So I didn't want to go too dark. I wanted to have that light at the end of the tunnel. So I just had to figure out a way to navigate that as I was crafting the songs together.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
And since Georgia Ann Muldrow did produce several songs, she also produced one of the more intriguing ones to me, which is PTSD.
Oh yeah.
And on that one, a lot of things I want to ask you about. But one, it's atypical sonically because it's not drum driven.
Yeah.
So what appealed to you, given that 99.9% of rap songs are drum driven? That
Yeah.
one is not.
Yeah.
Sonically and creatively, why did that beat appeal to you?
Um, I think I love Georgia's production so much that I don't even think that she realizes how dope she is. That's that's my opinion. She's just funky with it. And when I heard the beat, um, I think I was more or less of thinking we talk a lot about men, black as I'm talking about black men, but the queens around us, mothers, sisters, wives, the PTSD reference, most people think and grasp to like the husband who might go away in the military and comes back with the form of PTSD, what he's gone through. But in this case, I took that reference to how black men feel that their wives cannot feel because they're a different person. You know, women go through, it's almost like some of the things that women go through. We as men, we can only relate so much. We could defend, support, and channel that energy, but we can't go through the things they go through, good and bad. So with us going through that connection of a woman, it wasn't about the relationship. It was more about what they're thinking from their standpoint, as a black man's going through what he's going through. So this could be for someone who's together, not together, a mother to a son, all of those things. Because in most of our men's lives, to some degree, we have some form of female support system. And then on top of it, thinking back to the classic Method Man, Mary J. Blige, All I Need, those two things together made me feel like that. And I remember when I heard that joint, the one with Method and Mary, you can love that song whether there's a beat or just a cappella. That's what I wanted this song to feel. So that's why I kind of just kept it sonically the way she gave it to me when she first did the beat.
And she also sings on there.
Yeah.
So Georgia Ann Muldrow is very talented, obviously, but when you have a person that's producing but then also singing on the song,
yep.
Working with her, how did you figure out, or how did she kind of navigate the producer hat versus the performer hat on the same song?
You know what? When she gave me that beat, a lot of the vocals were already done. I wasn't sure I wanted to work with the song. I had to figure out a way to channel it because I think the approach of it was more of a relationship between a man and woman, ups and downs. That's why I figured if I'm going to do it, I had to flip it so it wasn't just about the relationship between a man and woman. It was the support system as a man's going through PTSD because of the things he's going through as a black man. So that was like the switch to it. So it kind of comes across as a relationship kind of vibe that she had already laid before I had the concept in mind. Otherwise, it would have ended up turning into a different song if I didn't go that route.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And conceptual on Omowale, you have a lot of great things. I thought one features your son Miles Brown on the G.O.A.T song.
Yes.
Where you guys are debating basketball with Jordan and versus LeBron.
Yeah.
Which, people here at the end, another name is brought up, which I thought was funny that wasn't one of the ones, given that we're in Southern California. But from the concept of exploring the generational kind of ways that our generations look at things differently, what made you want to explore that and frame it around basketball?
No question. Hey, the conviction and passion that my son has for the love of basketball is, one, ridiculous. But two, a lot of people can champion Michael Jordan or channel LeBron or other players from a fan standpoint. And they get caught up in just being a fan, but nothing to back up what they're saying or how they're feeling. My son is 17 now. And I'm telling you, since he was probably 4 or 5 years old, when he first became a LeBron, he'll probably get mad if I don't quote this. He was a LeBron fan when he got drafted. So being that he was around LeBron, he grew up watching and remembering and taking it all here as far as the stats, playbacks, situations that I'm guilty of underestimating how much he was really a fan of LeBron. I thought, like most people, he's young, he's a fan, but that's it. He can't debate with me or some other adult who's been watching sports all the time. So through the years, his debates have gotten so strong for the support of LeBron that every family gathering we have had gets ruined the moment that the conversation of what Jordan could do and what LeBron can't, or what LeBron can do and what Jordan can't. So knowing that he wanted to be on the album, I was like, I don't think it's going to work. I said, well, you know what? It kind of seems inevitable for us to just to dive into what we normally talk about, whether it be dance or sports. And that's how we came to the song. So the video should be coming soon too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how, given that those type of debates can be so divisive and incisive, how did you guys make it kind of more of a friendly banter per se?
You know what? We figured, how can we do a watered down version without my wife involved? Because she's usually the one that, separates us at the end of the day, or, we notice there's 50 family members gathered and then next minute everyone's gone. we just basically kept it with the stats. We could have went on for probably 5 songs. Should have been called part 1. But we knew we did find a mutual ground, to answer your question, which was Kobe Bryant. We thought that Kobe definitely doesn't get the notoriety that he should get. And I explained it to him like, hey, we love Black Panther. Everybody loves Black Panther. But you remember when Black Panther went to the tree and saw all of his previous ancestors there? And I did. My son Miles has gotten me to admit, I definitely think LeBron's on that GOAT table now. He may not be my favorite GOAT, but he's on that table now, just like Kobe is and all the other people before him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also in Omowale, you have The Night at the Museum, which is produced by Knots, which is one of my favorite beats on the album. Whatever. And I was also intrigued that the instrumental intro, however you want to look at it, lasts so long on that. I was wondering if it was just going to be an instrumental track. So why did it end up that way?
I think we were paying tribute and homage to Prince and KRS-One. My son is having my son, that's my son Miles, who's doing that chant at the beginning. And it's kind of odd, but rare to hear that someone my age and his age are influenced by the same things. He appreciated Prince, but at the same time, he also appreciates someone like KRS-One, who he's performed with before. So knowing that, I thought, okay, how can we channel that same energy and give back to dance? The behind the scenes story is, even though Miles appreciates Prince, he actually used to dance a lot to Prince's songs. And quote, probably I think his favorite was the extended version of Kiss. And that was when he was like 3 till now. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but that was one of his favorite songs that most people wouldn't say. Other people would quote the other classics. KRS-One, which is, you know, obviously in the world of B-boys and B-girls, my son danced to his music all the time. So I was like, hey, well, here's the famous quotes that they were quoting, where KRS is saying, hip hop will be here forever and ever, you know, and obviously Prince's lines, and we tied that in. But what we did was I tried to make it a vibe of the Ben Stiller film, Night at the Museum, where I think in the film or something, he's channeling like a tablet or something, bringing all these historical figures to life, whereas Miles is reading that chant that all dance in the dance community can relate. It's almost like a Batman's signal, you know, when that chant comes on, everyone's awoke. So that's actually the idea of the video that we plan to do, which is to bring historical figures to life if we do get to film that.
Well, speaking of KRS-One and historical figures, you got the say their name also, where you kind of play off I'm Still Number One, one of my favorite Boogie Down Production songs of all time.
Yes.
So how did you decide to blend Boogie Down Productions, that song, with shouting out a lot of the artists that we've lost?
No, I just thought it was deep, because it was like paying homage. Most people like to pay homage to someone that meant the most to them, one person, maybe two. This past few years, we just keep losing legends left and right. And, you know, and a lot of them aren't at the age you would think that they would leave this place. So I just kept thinking, you know what, it wouldn't be right for me to continue doing this without paying homage. Usually I usually like to do it in a live showcase. I rarely put it on record to pay homage. I don't think what I really feel comes across the way I wanted to on a record. So that's why I didn't want to do a verse. I wanted just to literally just to name everyone, because the people I named, everybody probably feels different ways of who they felt when they hear it. And then you see obviously all the sports and the award season, and they're always paying homage. And I always used to think, why do they keep leaving out all these other people? They're naming these people, but they keep leaving out all these who just may have left this earth, and they're just impactful. Some of them may not be as famous. And so that's why, to be honest, I did that with my son. I didn't get to explain that, but I did that with my son, because he's aware of a lot of the younger artists, which I'm not. But I know if it had an impact on him to feel the way I'm feeling, deserves to be on the song. So that's why I just took my time with it and did it through KRS-One, of course, and had to make sure we keep saying their name.
Okay.
Yeah.
interesting because the KRS-One, I think, obviously within the rap world is so highly regarded, but I think once you take one or two steps outside of rap, like people just aren't as familiar with them, which I think is a shame because Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One, uh, some of the best music ever made, man.
It don't make sense. I even told my son, and he got this. I said, "Isn't it odd that what's going on in society now? You're growing up, you're seeing it, you're aware now because of social media. KRS was almost like a prophet because he was saying all these things like he was teaching without being teachy or whatever the word term is. But he was saying all these things. And I told him, I said, I can only imagine what someone like him is thinking every time we turn on the news and see what we're saying. He's probably the one guy that's like, like Noah's Ark. I told you, told y'all. What was I saying? But yet y'all wanted to go this way and that way. That's how I look at KRS, you know what I mean? So it's just crazy, man.
Yeah. I mean, and even again, when we were referencing manifesting, uh, looking at some of the lesser known, of course, he had Sound of the Police, but before he had Sound of the Police, he had Who Protects Us from You, where you were put here to protect us, but who protects us from you? So he had been, and that was 89 off of Ghetto Music, the Blueprint of Hip Hop. Yep. So he had addressed that, addressed beef on edutainment.
The Racist.
The Racist was an amazing song that looked at all kinds of things. So, and the rate, one of the great things about The Racist, among many others, is that it shows different angles and levels of it.
Yes.
And that was like with fatherhood on Omowale, what I thought was interesting is there's the accountability. Like, remember on Death Certificate with Ice Cube, the last song is Us. And he's like, hey, we got to look at ourselves too. It's yes, the whole rest of the album is everybody else, but then also let's not forget, we got to make ourselves better too.
Exactly.
And I think that's the power. And to me, why KRS-One is, one of the top 5 ever in every single way.
Yes.
And so important. And I think we need to do more to champion and cherish him for his music.
While he's here.
While he's here and after he's gone. All the above. All the above. Also, with Living in Color with Razkaz on Omawale, I was intrigued because I've known Razkaz since before Soul and Ice came out personally.
Yes.
So I have a lot of history with Raz, but I also think, and I've interviewed him dozens of times, spent time with him dozens of times. But the thing that's always so interesting to me is he's not celebrated probably as a political rapper per se, even though he's overtly political.
Yes.
I think people always look at him for his lyrics and lyricism and kind of gloss over the fact that this The Man That Made Nature the Threat and Interview with the Vampire and all these other amazing things, Soul and Ice 2. Everybody should listen to that if they haven't already. But I say that to say to you, as a creative person, what made you decide to go the political route with Razkaz with Living in Color versus just doing like a braggadocio type of thing?
Oh, yeah. No, with Raz, I think it was more like I knew his aura was already going to bring that energy I needed to the table to make that statement. One first line, don't be an angry black man. Like that I was already done when I heard that. The thing is though, I knew that that he would basically speak like he always does, his mind to what's being addressed out in society. And he will speak it from himself, but he'll say the things that a lot of people want to say but don't say, or haven't been able to say, or don't want to say because of the repercussions that come along with it. So that was pretty much the guiding light to like, yes, here's what we need. And he asked me what did I want to speak from? And I just said, hey, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you being a person of color, or if you're speaking from other people of color, living in America, how do you feel? And when I heard the verse, it basically gravitated to me more because he was just giving me different perspectives, like different vantage points of what he was saying. So I could tell that the differences from his other works, even the cadence was different than a lot of other songs that I've heard from the song, and that was all I needed. I was good from there.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
It would be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Your MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.